fellow romance readers, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah, and this is Post-Book Depression. You know that feeling you get when you finish a good book that you didn't want to end?
Have you finished a book and just weren't ready to move on from the story and its beloved characters? You find yourself needing just a little more? This multi-trope romance podcast gives you the opportunity to dig deeper with us into books we love as we discuss all the reasons we can't move on.
Feeling chatty? You can continue the conversation with us on Instagram at Post-Book Depression Podcast or on Facebook in our Post-Book Depression discussion group.
We would be so grateful if you would subscribe to our podcast and take a moment to leave a review.
Are you ready? Let's discuss.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Amy.
And I'm Sarah.
We had the fun idea to try and incorporate some micro episodes into our podcast. Just fun little episodes that are a little bit shorter where we focus on talking about book-related things that we feel chatty about and we want to discuss. So, hey, Sarah.
Hey, Amy.
Today, we decided we are going to focus this little mini episode on microtropes. Mm-hmm. You know, the multi-trope options that we have in romance books. You have enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, small town romance.
Grumpy sunshine.
Grumpy sunshine. Yes, there's a lot of fun ones. And we thought it would be fun to break that down a little bit more and talk about some of our favorite microtropes that maybe don't cover the whole story, but are little nuggets that just really make you giddy when you're reading a story and make you smile. So we're going to talk about some of our favorites, maybe just some popular ones that we've thought of, and we would absolutely love for you to connect with us. Let us know what some of your microtropes are. When we have suggestions that we have books that we can recommend that follow along with some of these microtropes, we'll say them, but we don't have suggestions. You know how when you try and think of, you love these microtropes, but when you sit down and try and think about pinpointing a story that actually features those, it's harder.
Yeah.
We struggle with that a bit. Okay, we're just being
fully
transparent.
We've got a couple of books that we're like, yes, we know for a fact.
Yes. And I'm sure as we're reading moving forward, when we read these little microtropes, we'll be excited about, this is one that has it. Let's kick it off. One that I really enjoy, and I never really think about how much I enjoy it until it's actually featured in a book, are these loud, cantankerous senior citizens that either the female main character or the male main character has to put up with these antics that they have. Yes. How do you feel about this one?
I love this one, and I actually have a series for this one.
Let's hear it.
So I've mentioned the Riley Thorne series by Lucy Score before.
Yes.
Guys, I'm telling you, if you love these elderly people that your neighbors that are kind of cantankerous and just get into mischief, should we say, this series, I believe there's 4 books. I'm counting in my head. I've read them all. I think there's 4. It is just gold. It's gold. It has a few of these neighbors, and they keep you. There is one that keeps you in stitches the whole time. She is the funniest, and I want to be her when I get older. She's my spirit animal. That's one for me.
I feel like they bring a lot of comedic relief to the stories. I have a couple of recommendations for this little microtrope. Grandma Mazur in the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich.
Yes.
She is a hoot. Love her. And then Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams also has some, they had that Gilmore Girls vibe of these older ladies that just have, all these characteristics that we've just talked about. What's one that you really particularly like?
One of the microtropes that I love is when the female main character mentions something that she likes or did as a child, and then the male main character latches onto that, and it's brought up later on in the story, and then you are swooning because you're like, he totally
pays attention to the details.
I know, and especially if they're not together or not super close friends. For instance, I just read a book, and one of the things, he's a boss to her, and she doesn't realize that he has remembered all of these little nuggets, that she loves carrot cake, and he just picks up on these things that she wasn't even having conversations with him, but he has heard her say it. That one made me swoon. It's just one of those. Can you think of a story that we've read?
I can't think of one offhand, but I do love that, where they just pay attention to the details, and it just gives you all these warm, fuzzy feelings.
I know. Women, we love a man who listens.
Yes, we do. Speaking of just those little details, I like it when there's a special connection with the two characters. Either they're in a relationship or they're not. It could be early on or it could be later in the relationship. And there's some kind of object or thing that they've had something transpire around that. And the character takes it or steals it, and the other character later discovers that they have held on to it because that made them think of this character. One example, I do have a book, Catch the Sun by Jennifer Hartman. There's an object in that one that the female main character pockets away, and he notices it later, and it just brings the biggest smile to my face.
That reminds me, we just finished and covered Love and Other Lost Things, and a character takes something from another character that it comes up later, and it's actually very heartwarming. I loved that scene, and I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it.
I won't say what it is either, but that leads me to another one of my favorite microtropes, which is when the male main character does something for the female main character that she wasn't expecting him to go to great lengths to do, and she asks him why, and he says, "You know why." I love it when they say, I know the exact item that you're talking about, and that actually was my, the book that I had in mind, and the example was for that, because I love it when it's like, "You know why."
I love that. Why does that phrase like a puddle, like that little emoji where you're melting? That's me right now, just thinking about it. Oh, I love all these things. We love a microtrope.
Yes, we do. There's nothing that makes me giddy more in a story that's an enemies to lovers story. They've got all this animosity, or they're feuding, or they're sparring, or something, and at some point in the story, they show up on the enemy's doorstep because they had nowhere else to go. Yes. I love those. An example that came to mind, we actually covered this book on the podcast in the fall, Gold Horizons by Catherine Andrews.
Oh, yeah.
They're sparring. They're not really enemies per se, but they are definitely sparring in a prank war, and he shows up to get comfort from her. Did you think of one?
I thought of one, and it's a Brittany Cherry, and I'm drawing a blank. I believe we covered it, but they are fighting, and they're kind of enemies. They had a history, a past, and they end up having to stay at the same place.
Yes.
And it's me. I'm so happy. I love it.
You guys know that we freak out and we obsess over nicknames on this podcast. We love nicknames. Friend, I recently discovered that's an ick for some readers. What?
What kind of ick? Like specific nicknames? Because there are nicknames, like I've heard people have an issue with the angel.
Yes.
And I do, depending on the story, but most of the time if I see it, I'm like,
I've seen some TikToks recently, quite a few actually, on a variety of nicknames. Babe, baby, just like some of those generic ones. Or if they give them a niche nickname, which we love on our show. I can't compete with that because I'm here for a nickname.
How are you hating on that? These people don't have nicknames.
Yes.
They're jealous that somebody has not thought of a nickname for them. That's what it is. I don't understand. I like a nickname. I understand like where some people don't like it when somebody says, "Oh, honey," or "sugar," or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Probably because of where we live. I don't think anything of it.
Same.
And I do that, especially if they're like little kids and stuff, might say, "Oh, sweetie, don't do that," or "honey," or whatever. I do that to people all the time.
Me too.
And I waitressed, and I did that sometimes, like with, some of my older, like grandpa-like figures, and we had a good relationship. Not like a creepy. That sounded creepy, doesn't it? It's not creepy. I swear, I'm not a creep. But I like a nickname.
I love a good nickname, and if you've listened to our show for any length of time, or maybe even not, you will hear, like, we'll do nickname alerts all the time if we just really find a nickname that the characters have given, but in the explanation for it as well. Some examples that come to mind in where we started with Ashley Munoz, the nickname River, and the reasoning for that. Oh, love that one so much. Great and Precious Things by Rebecca Yarros. One of the male main character calls the female Pica, and the reasoning for that, loved it as well. Bonus points if it's a name in a foreign language and the female main character doesn't know what it means. So Winter in New York by Josie Silver.
Yes.
There's a foreign language nickname meaning little spoon in that one. Oh, love it.
So good. So I'm going to tag on to that because this is not where they come up with the unique nicknames, but they go with the generic. And I love it when the male main character calls her love or baby or sweetheart, whichever, whatever it might be, when they're friends or enemies and it slips out by accident.
Yes!
So, okay. So I just finished this book a little while ago. It's The Lair by Lucina Coney, and he is her boss, and there's like a 12-year age gap romance. So here for that.
Ooh, yeah.
And at one point, he calls her sweetheart. I was a puddle.
I love it when it slips out.
And he's grumpy. It's a grumpy sunshine.
Yes.
So it's
Even
a grumpy
better.
sunshine. And then she put all these little microtropes in there. It was chef's kiss, and I was so happy. So I really, really like it because I love it when the male or the female main character, specifically in that one, she's like, just call me sweetheart. Has that moment of, did that just happen?
Oh, it makes me so giddy. I just love that.
I need to know who these people are that don't like nicknames. I need somebody.
They're out there.
Just message me and give me your reasons why.
They're on TikTok and I comment every single one. I love nicknames.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Kind of along those lines of, letting it slip out a little bit. One that I really like is a secret tattoo.
Yes.
That they discover at some point. I have a couple of examples for this.
Okay.
Heathen and Honeysuckle by Sarah Bailey. I've talked about this book before. So good. It's so good. Still Beating, Jennifer Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't think her tattoo is a secret, she still gets a tattoo because of a character. 7 Year Slip. And Last Call at the Local, which we covered on an episode here. I don't think it's a secret, but there is a tattoo involved because of the relationship.
Yep. That is one of my favorites. I love the secret tattoo. We've read several books with this particular trope. And I love it too because typically it's found in a moment of intimacy.
Yes.
There was one recently where he had a hummingbird. There was another one that we've had where there's flowers and they don't know what they mean and it's connected to their past and it represents something.
Usually a significant amount of time has passed since they've seen this person.
Yes.
And when there's the big reveal that they have this tattoo, friend.
Good. I've read a lot of those. I couldn't even list them. You listed several that we've read, but there's several more. I'm like, hummingbird, flowers, all this. I mean, I'm seeing the tattoos in my head just like flying through right now. I love that one. So good.
So good. When one of the main characters falls asleep without meaning to and the other main character has to tuck them in, those are just like tender moments. I don't have any books don't come to mind for this example, but it happens frequently and I get the warm fuzzies every time it happens.
So the layer has that.
Oh, does it? I need to read this book.
It has so many. I'm like, man.
Bonus points if he gives her the tender forehead kiss when he tucks her in. Oh,
I love a forehead kiss.
I love a forehead kiss.
My husband knows that and he does it all the time and I'll say to him, you know I love a forehead kiss. And he's like, I know, that's why I do it. And he winks at me. Which some people find a wink gross.
Winks.
I love a wink.
Even a flirty wink. I love a good wink.
I get all the winks from my husband. Okay. And I don't get why people get icked out by that. I'm like, that's sexy. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love a good wink. Also, when I read that a character winks, I definitely wink in real life.
I try. Justin will look at me and be like, what do you do with your eyes? It's like a double blink. I cannot wink.
The flirty wink.
I'm
so
telling
good.
you, if you wink while turning your hat on backwards and then you kiss my forehead, I'm gonna drop down to the ground like, oh my gosh.
Sarah's a goner. One of the more funny microtropes to me is when the female main character gets into an embarrassing situation and the male main character has to come and rescue her. The Stephanie Plum series is every book.
Oh yeah.
Ranger has to come and rescue her.
Yeah, that's kind of Lucy Score's too, because Riley gets into some mischief. She's very similar to the Stephanie Plum kind of.
Okay.
Definitely those stories. I love them, but I also am like cringing when I read them. Like, oh my gosh,
you get secondhand embarrassment for characters frequently, so yes, I can see.
I get embarrassed easily. I do. I get embarrassed very easily. I get embarrassed by other people's actions. If it doesn't even directly involve me, but I witness it, I feel embarrassed as though I'm connected to them, but I'm not. I've been this way my whole life.
One of the microtropes that really speaks to my just animal loving heart is when one of the characters has a pet and it starts liking, like if he has a dog and it starts liking her more, or he doesn't want a dog and then gets one and it grows on him, or she gets one or is around one. So 2 examples of that. One we covered on the podcast, Once Upon a Boy Band by Jenny Proctor. That just does good for my animal dog loving soul. But also the one where he doesn't want a dog but then becomes obsessed with it is Someone Else's Ocean by Kate Stewart. Oh, that's a good one for sneaking the little dog microtrope in. One that happens, I feel like, more often in an enemies to lovers or even like a dark romance is when one of them gets hurt or injured. Mm-hmm. And his response is, who did this?
Yeah.
To you. Like he goes into alpha mode or then has to take care of the person. From Luke Off with Love by Mariana Zapata is one where she gets sick. She's not injured, but she does get sick and he has to take care of. I just love the nurturing side of the men having to take care of the girls, whether they're in a relationship or they're still in that like enemies to lovers vibe. That's a good one. And I feel like the Jack and Jill trilogy by Julianne, I know one of the characters gets sick and has to be taken care of. But I feel like she gets hurt at some point. Maybe not, but there's definitely like the sick taken care of situation in that one.
I can't remember the name of the book because I read it years ago. And this was really at the beginning of my romance journey. It's one of those where all the friends get a story. You know how
yes.
I love those?
Yes.
And I instantly thought of this. I cannot find it because it was a time when I didn't have Goodreads to where I could track all my books and stuff. But I distinctly remember it being this guy who he had like this really long hair and he's very like can take care of himself and he's very quiet and nobody can get a hold of him for a couple of days. And this girl goes over to his house, checks on him. He's like kind of unconscious. He's so sick with the flu. So sick. So she takes care of him. And that I feel like was kind of my introduction to this microtrope because he wakes up and she's been at his house caring for him for several days as she's been hydrating him back to health. And I'm so frustrated that I cannot remember the name of the book. It's so good. But that was my introduction to that trope.
There's also the Abby Jimenez story that we covered.
Oh,
They're sick with the neurovirus.
Oh.
You got worked up and I did not want to talk about it because it was so gross.
Yes, just for the summer. Yeah, that one stressed me out. I don't like it. But you guys, I think everybody should know by now that I have a major phobia to anything that involves being ill in that type of manner. So let's move on before I get sick.
Let's do one final one, and I know that this one speaks to your soul. How about a male main character who cooks or is a chef?
Yes, slay, sister, slay.
I have a few examples.
I love that.
We covered this one on the podcast, Until August by Emery Rose. He's a chef.
So
if
good.
It makes you happy, he's a baker.
Yes.
Truly Madly Deeply by L.J. Shin, world famous chef. So those are 3 examples that I had. Oh, so good. And if you want the female as a chef, Burn for You by J.T. Geisinger is one where the female is a chef. So that was another perspective.
Yes. So everybody that has followed us, they know I swoon with certain tropes and characters. And if they can cook, I am so here for that story. I'm so fascinated by it, by cooking. I love to cook. I love to bake. And when you give me a male main character that does that, I'm sold.
See, and I like it because I'm the opposite. I hate cooking. I hate baking. So if you give me a male main character that is good at it and does it, I'm like, yes, please. That means I don't have to do it.
Oh my gosh. I love it. That's a sweet spot for me.
We would love to hear your favorite microtropes. If you can think of examples of books of the ones that we've talked about, please hit us up. Let us know what you like, what suggestions you have. Just a fun little conversation starter and piece that we wanted to put out. So we would love to hear your ideas on this.
Yes. Well, that concludes our fun little microtrope discussion. We hope you enjoyed this episode and want to continue the conversation with us. You can hit us up with all of your microtrope favorites on our Instagram page at Postbook Depression Podcast, or on our Facebook at our Postbook Depression discussion group. You can also email us at postbookdepressionpodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, keep reading.